California is a really big state. So you have, San Francisco Bay Area, Northern California, where we're at. You have Southern California, which is, Hollywood, LA, all that kind of stuff. So where we're at, we're known for San Francisco and the sourdough breads and everything downtown there. And then Silicon Valley is really big, which is about 20, 25 minutes from there. Northern California has a lot of money. I mean, it's like Sand Hill is one of the well-known roads there. It's one of the most money-rich streets in the world in terms of what's there, VCs and, all that kind of stuff. We're around a lot of zip codes that make a lot of money. So the clientele base there, a lot of them are tech-based people. So they're a little bit more reserved. You could have guys with multiple jets walk into the shop with flip-flops and shorts. And, it's just the culture there of people who have a lot of money don't really care. So they're just a little bit more relaxed. And a lot of these people don't want to be famous. They already have everything they want via whatever tech brands or companies they built. And a lot of these brands and companies are stuff that you have attached to your phones or your homes and things like that. And they're all based out of Silicon Valley, including bigger automotive movers and shakers like Tesla. So the clientele base there, they are a little bit different. They'll come in, they know what they want, but a lot of the stuff we do are, for design base at least, are stuff that's, a little bit more clean, covert. Like a typical build is going to be a color change, something you might run on Cannonball, right? But it's going to be something that's a color change, vinyl wrap in a subtle color, like a satin dark gray or matte black, and do like maybe some aero stuff, some simple wheel designs. And carbon aero meaning like a front lip, diffuser, side skirt extensions, rear wing, but nothing too crazy. Everything is very subtle with these guys, window tints, and then that's usually generally their package, maybe an exhaust system. They don't go too much crazy. They do a lot of research a lot of times. So they're finding, like their typical nature, do a lot of research and find out who's the best on this or who's the best on that. And then they'll find us and they'll come through our door. One of the unique clients that we've come across over the years, which has taken up a lot of market space now in the customization world, mainly because they make the number one selling cars in their segments, which is Tesla. The Model 3 and the Model Y are, I think, their number one selling cars in their segments of that size of vehicle. Those two particular cars obviously exploded the market on the aftermarket world in the spaces that we do work in. But the Tesla owners themselves, especially Model S and the Roadsters, Model X, and then the early adopters of the Model 3s and Ys, a lot of those guys weren't really car guys. They love tech and they love being first. And so when Tech World gave them a piece of tech on four wheels, they were the first in line to adopt it and take it and buy it. But as we know, Tesla has very limited customization options. And like a lot of shakers and movers, they want to be different. So they're like, hey, let's figure out how to a way to make our car stand out. So they would come to us and we'd realize really early on that a lot of these owners, this is their first time exploring the automotive customization world. They might have really tricked out PCs at home and fully built out and custom this with lights and all kinds of crazy stuff, or just the latest gizmos and gadgets at home, but the cars, not so much. And so when they got the cars, they would come in and you could see this, like almost like this new level of excitement for them because they're doing something new that they've never partaken in before. So it was like almost every time for years of dealing with Tesla clients, it felt like 80% of the time I was dealing with a brand new experience. This is my first time ever customizing anything. I don't even do window tints and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden they got this full build with wheels and wrap and carbon aero and all this other stuff that they got going on in their Tesla, that they genuinely love the experience, the entire customization process of it, because they were so engaged and it was brand new to them and they've never done this before. So it was like anytime you get to walk someone on their first experience of something, especially in something you do, and you get to see their face light up on the day of pickup and they're like, oh my God, that came out even better than I expected. That's how it felt like with that whole market of Tesla. Silicon Valley, make no mistake, they got some nice cars. The LaFerraris and the Paganis and the 765s and all the other crazy stuff that's all in the area. I wouldn't be in business working on luxury and exotic cars if they weren't. But the consensus amongst all of them is to be a little bit more clean-cut, classy, and reserved with the way they build their cars. We've adapted to that style, and that's kind of like our style. But hey, if you want a fleet of gold chrome cars like the guys at Cars and Curry did, I'll do them. And you could have a full fleet of gold chrome cars. But whatever it is that you're looking to get done, especially if you're in Silicon Valley, I would say most of those consumers are pretty chill, pretty relaxed, and you're not going to find a lot of what you would find in SoCal vibe in the Bay Area. To be a high performer in Silicon Valley, you kind of have to have your, hypersensitive to things, or you maybe have a development of a superpower of OCD or ADHD or whatever it is, right? That makes you high functioning at whatever level you are. So a lot of these people are doing their work at high capacity. So when they come to us, they've done their research, they pick up their car, and they're going to go through their car more often than not. Some of the customers, they get to a point where they don't have time for anything anymore. So those types of customers, they start getting more and more busy with their personalized schedules, meaning they're not really in the retirement phase yet. Remember, a lot of our customers are so wealthy, they're just, ain't got nothing to do. But the vast majority of them, they are customers that they're still actively working in the workplace. So those senses are still there. That's why we have to deliver a high caliber all the time, because we have to assume that everyone is like that. Similar to the Mansory client, right? Because you never know when that one customer who does pull out his flashlight to look at everything in the car, which has happened, will do that. So, and there's nothing you can really do when that happens. You just be like, see how this goes. That's how the most buyers are where we're at. But of course, they're not all rich tech guys. They're pretty much a wide mix of stuff. There's people like me, there's just car guys out there, and everybody wants to do car customization. We are one of the most eclectic shops in the area, I would say, mainly because but the type of cars I have gives you an idea of the type of clients I have. Somebody who has a Cyber Beast or a 1987 Grand National, those two things don't really mix very well. But where I operate is this really funky place of the San Francisco Bay Area where we have just all these different melting pots of everything put together. And people like what they like. So you're going to have the tech bros, and you're going to have the average people out there like myself who are just really love cars, that are bringing me their olds or classic cars, their funky rides. So even though we do a lot of marketing towards the luxury and exotic sector, we work on pretty much whatever you want to bring me. I guess that makes it a little bit exciting, and it changes up the landscape of SS Customs whenever people bring in. You walk through our studio, you might find a Prius, you might find an Enzo, you just never know.
Right now, we've got the best deal we've ever offered from Avalon King. Their AS9 DIY ceramic coating is $30 off at the link in the description below, making it the best value in the world of ceramic coatings. They've also got half off of their IPA prep spray if you want that as well. It makes it so much easier to put the coating on, to level it out, and get the shine that you're looking for. One box is enough for a small to medium-sized car, maybe two if you've got a big SUV, and really anybody can coat an entire car in about an hour and a half. So check them out now at the link in the description below to thank them for their support of VINwiki and make your car look incredible with Avalon King.